Another electrifying night of combat sports is upon us. And for the final time this year, the UFC Apex provides the stage.
Just like there's the towel inside of 90 seconds. That fight ended. There it is. Forced to tap.
That left hook cannot miss.
Just over a minute for Eliseu Celeste dos Santos.
I mean,
Knee up the middle. And Sir Abdul Malik, welcome to the UFC.
That ain't jiu-jitsu.
well, just seconds from the end of the round, Renner de Ritter completely turns the tables, lands the elbow, lands the left hand.
Oh, and there's the tap from Meerschaert right near de Ritter.
He's not a newbie or a 5-0 guy coming in there. He's got fights. And when he stepped into the octagon, it was just easy for him. And that really makes him a nightmare for the welterweights to deal with.
No touch of gloves there. There's the game plan straight away.
Neil Magny run this.
Is it a short elbow? Puts Magny right on the back foot again.
E ngā mana, e ngā reo, e ngā waka, nau mai hara mai ki UFC on Sky. Nau mai hara mai ki te kāinga hou o UFC on Sky. Welcome to our brand new home, our new set here on UFC on Sky. We've leveled up, and here to witness it in the flesh is UFC Flyweight Kai Kara-France. Kia ora e hoa.
Kia ora. Thank you for having me. Awesome to be here in this new Aotearoa stage, and yeah, just to share space.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we have a chocker show this week. As you can see from the poster, it's UFC 309 at Madison Square Garden, so we're going to get straight into it. Joining us now is the GOAT himself, Jon Jones. Kia ora e hoa, and welcome to the show.
I was going to say, Chur Bro.
Well done.
Thank you.
Now, did Joseph Parker teach you that?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I knew it.
How have you read?
I am very well, thank you. Look, you pulled out the Chur Bro on me that you said you've learned from former WBO heavyweight boxing champion Joseph Parker, who of course is from here in New Zealand. So talk about that conversation and how you're just flinging that Chur Bro around.
Yeah. I don't know. He was at my house one day. We were working out in my garage, and I was like, bro, teach me like some Kiwi slang. And he's just like, all right, so, well, you know, we always say, instead of saying like cheers or anything, like we say like chur. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, it's like you can say chur for like, I guess a lot of different ways of using it. So I don't know. I was glad to learn. Man, I tell you, Joseph is an amazing human being, I'm so grateful to have got to know him and to call him a friend. And I wish him all the best that this world has to give.
Yeah, well, it looks like the media putting things together that hopefully he gets that fight against Dubois early next year. So fingers crossed that he can get that match.
That'd be great. He deserved it. He's so disciplined and so dedicated. Literally every day he was here, he was just trying to figure out ways to get better. You know, his diet, his work ethic, and he's just so humble. He's just so humble. Like, he was willing to learn from anyone around. And you would imagine a person that's fought at the level he's fought would have a little bit of pride and a little bit of, you know, ego. And man, he was just abnormally kind. And I'm really grateful to call him a friend.
Abnormally kind, I like that.
Yeah, really.
In terms of what he brought to your camp, because obviously he did a bit of training with you. As I mentioned, he was a former WBO heavyweight champion. So what were the things that perhaps you took from him? Because I did speak to him and he spoke about, you know, these things you're saying about him. He similarly says about you as well.
Yeah, Well, it was very humbling to try to box with him. You know, he's so powerful and just so tight in his position and his technique. He gave me some great pointers. I don't want to get into it in depth because a lot that he taught me, I'll be trying to implement in my next fight. Mm-hmm. But we both have many years of training experience, and to collaborate and to learn different training methods from him was really nice. Him and his coach Lockhart, they're a mean 1-2 punch. Those two, they're perfect for each other. I'm glad that they shared with me.
Nice. It was actually quite exciting when we saw the photos, you know, from little old New Zealand down here, seeing him training with Jon Jones. So, of course, we were very curious as to, wow, what was that like? And the media asking him if he's going to try MMA now and all the rest, and he swears that he won't be. But he said that he enjoyed the training. He enjoyed, you know, trying to get down on the ground and doing the grapple as well.
He could easily be a mixed martial arts fighter if he wanted to be. The level of athlete he is, you know, to try to grapple with the guys. And, you know, we had him doing ground and pound techniques. And the one thing he hated, he do not kick him. He's just like, I'm not doing any of that kicking stuff, you know. But if he wanted to learn, he'd be exceptional at it. Another thing I was really surprised about was I thought, you know, being in New Zealand, being around all that water, I thought he'd be a little bit better of a swimmer. But he's not. That swimming needs to
We actually grew up in the same community, so I'm not surprised that he's not. There wasn't much water where we're from in South Auckland, so, but I mean, he could get out to the coast, he could get out to the beaches and things, but I don't know, it's probably not for everybody. Considering we see you swimming in your build-up.
Yeah, I swim a lot. And the swimming was something that wasn't a strength of his, but you actually get a better workout when you're not that good at swimming because you're fighting against the water instead of working with the water. So it was a great workout for him, and I think it's something that he's going to add to his future regimen. Nice one.
And look, obviously, Joseph being a boxer, and that's a strength of Stipe Miocic, so obviously he's brought in, you know, for a very particular reason. But let's talk about that a little bit more and how you're preparing to fight, you know, the former heavyweight champion in Stipe Miocic.
Yeah, you know, boxing with Joseph was great because, you know, we did some light moving around, and his setups and you know, his flow, it was much higher level than what I'll face with Stipe Miocic. And if anything, it gave me a lot of confidence, you know, my defense and offense and boxing game. He's such a great teacher. And, you know, he didn't hesitate to, you know, stop mid-round and be like, hey, you know, you see why I hit you here? Or you see why I'm able to, you know, do that to you? And he was just very generous with his knowledge. And I know for a fact, him being here made me better.
Kia ora, Jon. Nice to meet you. How have you been able to stay at the top for so long? You know, you've been arguably the greatest of all time. How do you do that? What is your why? What is the recipe to become the greatest MMA athlete ever?
You know, it's an honor to be mentioned as the GOAT. You know, it makes me want to live up to it. You know, it just makes me want to train harder and just prove people right. Ultimately, it's up to the fans to decide who they think the best is. My job is to perform like a GOAT. So, you know, instead of getting all high on myself and thinking that I'm the man, I just train harder. I train harder and harder to prove people who believe in me right. You know, I do about 3 times a day, some days 4 times a day. I eat really clean. I try to go to bed early. I study constantly. And I try to hang on to my humility because, you know, when you get to a point where you believe that you're untouchable and you believe you're the man, that's when you get caught. Mm-hmm. And so I really just try to stay humble. I try to be the hardest working fighter, and that's what I have pride in. I have pride in being one of the hardest working UFC fighters, and then I just let the work speak for itself.
Absolutely, and it's that belief too, because I remember the last time we spoke, this was before the Cyril Gane fight, and you were saying to me, I am the champion, I'm already the heavyweight champion. So having that belief, I feel, is something that you have very strongly as well. Is that something that you've taken with this? You know, you've been the heavyweight champion now for a little over a year. How has that been? You were working your way back into the UFC, and now you've had time back as a champion again.
It feels great. It feels great to represent the UFC Heavyweight Championship belt. It's a huge honor. You know, it comes with so much love from the fans, and And, you know, years ago, to be a UFC fighter, you know, people thought you were crazy. You know, it was a very taboo job to have. And fast forward today, you know, you see Dana White being best friends with our president, Donald Trump, and you know, celebrities, all the biggest celebrities in the world, they come to UFC fights, and it's grown so much. It's a huge honor for me, and I just try to live up to it, you know, every day with just, you know, the way I carry myself and you know, just represent the sport and just try to win, you know.
Well, you've been around it for so long, making your debut in 2008. You've practically grown up inside the UFC, and I mean, I know you came away and came back, but you really wouldn't know any better.
Yeah, I've been a part of the UFC since I was about 19 years old, and today I'm 37 years old. So yeah, I've grown up in front of the camera, in front of the audiences, in front of the arenas, and it's great. You know, it's great. I don't think I would have won it any different way. I'm really blessed to have been in the UFC these many years and to still be at the top, you know, competing with the top level competition, and it's a great thing.
Yeah, well, you're 2 years off 20 years in the UFC. That is just a very long time, but a successful career as well. And then, of course, you dip into what your legacy will look like, that, you know, once you do put those gloves down and you step back and you look at your career. And of course, all these conversations start happening now that although you are facing Stipe, what else is there to do? What else is there to achieve? So, you know, in your mind, after, you know, hopefully, and in, you know, in your spirit, that you'll get through Stipe Miocic, what is next for Jon Jones, who has achieved it all?
Next for me, you know, I got some really wonderful kids. You know, I just want to be a great dad, and I've always dreamed about being in movies, you know. That'd be a really cool thing for me to try to put my foot in Hollywood and see if I could make it in some action movies and things like that. I also want to coach others and get back to the youngsters and teach them not only how to fight, but how to kind of navigate through being a professional athlete. And maybe if I can get them on an easier path than I was on, that'd be really good for me, because ultimately that's what it's about, giving back and helping all the little ones in the future. And so that's what I'm excited for, being a great dad, being a great coach, being a great citizen and human being, and maybe even being good on camera.
So everyone wants to know, what is the next plan? Is there a retirement on the cards? Are we staying in? Are we fighting Alex Pereira for a super fight? Is Tom Aspinall in the picture? I want to hear it straight from the horse's mouth. It is a possibility for me. I've talked to, you know, I've let it be very known that the only fight that I'm interested in after this one would possibly be against Alex Pereira. And if the UFC doesn't want to go in that direction, then I'll be really happy to hang up the gloves and put all my energy elsewhere. It's been a beautiful career, and you know, it's important for us athletes to know when we've had enough and to go out happy. You know, so I've seen fighters fight for way too long. You know, I've seen guys, you know, start to take losses to guys they would have never lost to when they were younger, and I never want to be that guy. When it's been enough, it's okay to take your ball and go home sometime. You know, so that's what I'm willing to do and I'm able to do.
And finally, to, you know, have a fight like this, of this magnitude, defending that heavyweight title in New York, where you were from, at Madison Square Garden, just cherry on the top.
Have the opportunity to fight close to where I was born and give people the opportunity to come out and see me, that would be awesome, you know. So hopefully that's the way that it plays out. And, you know, I have lots of New Yorkers out there supporting me, and give them a beautiful win, and then sell off and enjoy the rest of life.
Nice one. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Jon. I could sit here and talk to you all day, but I know you're a busy man with a big fight ahead of you. So thank you so much for joining us, and we can't wait to watch you in action at UFC 309.
Thank you so much, Rav. It was good to see you again, and keep kicking butt out there. You're doing great.
Thank you so much. Chur Bro.
Chur Bro.
Joining us from Cleveland today is the former heavyweight champion and dubbed the best heavyweight of all time, Stipe Miocic. Kia ora, Stipe, and welcome to UFC on Sky.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Look, first of all, I just wanted to ask you, Stipe, it's been since 2021 was your last fight in the UFC. Has everything kind of come back to you naturally? I mean, coming up not just to fight in a title fight, but up against Jon Jones nonetheless.
Yeah, everything's the same. You know, training. I've always been training. Nothing's different. Just, you know, now I'm getting ready for a fight. So a little bit of body rest, a little bit is nice.
Kia ora, Stipe. You're a different breed. You've got a full-time job as a firefighter. Have you been able to? How have you been able to juggle that in your career?
Oh, it's been great. You know, I've had the last couple of weeks off because of the way I worked my vacations and stuff like that. So it actually worked out well because luckily no one picked up any vacation up in October, November, so it worked out well. So yeah, I got lucky and yeah, you know, I love what I do.
Putting in the annual leave, for being a firefighter too. But also I think like a real good gauge of time passing by is when we watch our children grow up. And I saw on the UFC countdown that your little girl, who was so little when we last saw you on the scene compared to now, she's so growing up. So how has family life been while you've had this time away from the UFC?
It's been amazing. It's chaos, but like a good chaos. I love every second of it. I love my children more than anything. I love my wife, and yeah, I wouldn't change it for the world. It's nothing but chaos, and it's a great chaos, though.
You know, you're getting close to the ending of this chapter. What is your why? What is your motivation to go out, you know, on top? What keeps you, you know, striving to be your best?
I love competition. Love what I do. It's just something I've always had inside of me. You know, I just also want to show my kids, you know, your hard work pays off.
And those who have been following your career, you've been around in the UFC since 2011 and have fought, you know, the best heavyweights in the world, and some of them more than once. How has preparation been against Jon Jones? Because obviously when you were around, he was, you know, doing what he was doing in the light heavyweight division. What are your thoughts on him as a heavyweight?
Yeah, he was great in the heavyweight. He's doing great in the heavyweight. Yeah, I mean, you know, same, nothing different, you know, just try you guys to emulate and try to, you know, mimic him as much as you can. And, you know, it's harder than you think it is, but you try your best and just, you know, but you got to do your game plan, listen to your coaches and do what you got to do.
So you've fought everywhere in the world, you've fought in the big stadiums. Where does MSG compare to those stadiums that you've fought in?
Honestly, this is like the Mecca, you know, this is where everyone talks about fighting here or doing something here. I'm actually, you know, pretty excited. Madison Square Garden doesn't get bigger than that.
Is fighting in one of the meccas of sports, and you know, fighting in possibly the biggest fight in UFC history after this weekend, UFC 309, of course, and we'll reiterate it, you're facing Jon Jones, the best heavyweight in the world, against one of the GOATs that the UFC has ever seen. You know, how easy or hard is it to try and keep that to the back of your mind and really, you know, solely concentrate on the job at hand?
Just that, you know, I'm the best coaches in the world. They help me with that. We work a task at hand, and we just worry about what's in front of us. And same at home. You know, outside, you know, fighting, I got a great wife, great family, great support system, and that's what you need. You need a great support system.
And what can we expect to see, Stipe? You've been out of the game for a little while, since 2021. What can fans expect to see when you take to the octagon this weekend?
Fireworks, nothing but fireworks, I'm telling you right now.
Ooh, I'm excited for just seeing you back in there, because I know it's been a while. Are you excited to make that walkout, hear your walkout song, and to, you know, hear Bruce Buffer call your name, and then once the fight starts, how do you see this fight planning out? Are you going to be, you know, seeing what Jones is bringing to the table, feel him out in the first round, or are you going to just take it to him straight in there?
Well, I'm going to do what I do. You know, I'm going to go out there and do what I do, you know, and listen to my coach. Like I said, listen to my coach. That's the main thing. Just do what I got to do, and not let him dictate what he wants to do. I'm going to do what I've trained and what I'm going to do.
Nice one. Well, thank you so much for your time, Stipe. All the very best for this weekend, and us here down in Aotearoa, New Zealand, will be watching in anticipation.
All the best.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
All right, very exciting indeed. As I mentioned, it's UFC 309, the biggest card of the year. And Kai Kara-France, I can't let you go without getting some predictions. Let's start with this fight right here. Jon Jones, dubbed, you know, the best UFC fighter that ever was, will be. And then you got Stipe Miocic, the best heavyweight of all time. How do you see this going?
Man, I'm just excited to see these guys back in action. It's been so long. It feels like this fight's been teased for years. Yeah. My whole UFC career, I feel like this fight's been always booked but never happened. So to have it at MSG, you know, the mecca of fighting in New York, and the two of the baddest guys ever to do it, I'm just going to be in awe just watching. I don't know who to swing with, you know, the GOAT, or, you know, you can't really count out Stipe ever. You know, he's a firefighter, he's a fighter, he's just got it in him. But I think Jon Jones is going to go out on top.
I think a lot of people join you in that prediction, only because, I mean, he's not coming in cold into the heavyweight division. We kind of saw what he did to Cyril Gane. Everyone kind of talks about Stipe Miocic and his movement as a boxer, and Cyril Gane had that as well, and that was absolutely nullified by Jon Jones in that last fight. So as you say, that fight will be very exciting to watch. I wanted to get your opinion on the co-main event, Michael Chandler versus Charles Oliveira, the rematch. Of course, this fight could have implications for someone like Dan Hooker, who's aspiring to get to that title as well. So how do you see that one going?
That just has fireworks all written over it. Like, Chandler's someone that's been put on ice. He's had that Conor fight dangled in front of him. He's been staying ready, and then he opted to go with, you know, Charles, and it's a rematch. Obviously, Charles got the better of him the first time for the belt. So I know Chandler will be looking just to make a statement and take Charles out. He nearly had him out in the first fight, but do Bronx, man, he's so durable, and he's like evolved into, whenever he has the blonde hair, he's Super Saiyan now. He doesn't, you can't stop him. So I think Michael Chandler's gonna do what he needs to and take out Do Bronx. I love Do Bronx. He's the man. I've met him in, as a guest fighter in Oz when we've done some mahi together. But I feel like Chandler's gonna do it. So that could be potentially Dan's next opponent. Who knows? But whoever Dan fights next, I feel bad for, because there's another guy you have to kill to get him.
It's a horrible fight.
That's it. He's going to take damage. You're both going to end up in the hospital, but you get, whoever wins that fight, I guarantee you Dan's going to be fighting next.
I told you a little lie. I said I needed your predictions before we go, but now that you mentioned what could possibly happen for Dan Hooker moving forward, what about yourself? We know that, you know, hopefully, well, for all we know now, you have a Christmas, you have a New Year's, so you've locked that in, so ka pai tēnā. But what is it looking like for you? Because Dan and I have been talking about for the last couple of weeks this flyweight math that's going on at the moment of who could be taking the winner of Pantoja and Kaya Sakura.
Yeah, that fight's happening in December, so I guess the outcome of that will let me know what my next move is. So out of my control, whatever the universe has in store for me, we just put the head down and we work towards that date. So if that's in February in Sydney, which I don't think it will be, because December's quite a quick turnaround for whoever wins that fight. But if it's, you know, later on the year, obviously the NRL's going to Vegas in March, where the Warriors are playing the Raiders. So I'd love to be there, not working, not doing mahi or in a camp. But if wherever that fight is in the middle of the year, if they give me the call and I'm the next guy, that's what I want. That's the dream, and that's what I'm working towards, is getting back on top and fighting for that world title and bringing that back home to Aotearoa and back to City Kickboxing. So whoever the winner is, if it's Kai, you know, that's the next victim. If it's Pantoja, we can run it back like it was in 2016 on The Ultimate Fighter. So there's a great storyline for both fights. You know, I've done my part by taking out a guy that just went the distance with the with the champ now. So hey, the more time the better for me. I get to prepare and build, and at the moment I'm in a Warriors preseason for 2025, so helping the boys push hard and you know, finishing the year strong and setting them up for their first game in Vegas next year. So exciting times for me, but I'm just controlling what I can and just letting the universe take care of everything else. Nice.
International Fight Week has a little ring to it, I think. July-ish, Las Vegas. You might have 2 trips to Las Vegas next year.
Yeah, you heard it here first, eh?
I'm just a stirrer. But whānau, you can catch UFC 309 this weekend. Do not miss it. Head over now to Sky Arena or Sky Sport Now to book your ticket to the biggest UFC pay-per-view of the year. Hei ko nā mai.
The greatest of all time! Jon Jones is back! Stipe Miocic, come get a taste. Stipe Miocic, the consensus greatest heavyweight of all time. He wants to go down as the best ever. Michael Chandler. This guy has power for days. He is an absolute animal. I'll see you at the top. Charles Oliveira. This kid's incredible. One of the best fighters